Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariane, and today we're going to be learning how to format your very own comic project on Clip Studio Paint in order to print it later on for Amazon's KDP. So, if that's something that you're interested in, grab some water, some coffee, anything you like, and let's get started. Alright guys, so this is part one of two parts that I'm going to be uploading. This is going to be the first video that I'll be uploading. If you're new to my channel, I would love to tell you a little bit about my own journey with self-publishing. So basically, I've been publishing my web series, Bring Me Love. Here it is, online on Webtoon and on Tapas for the last 3 years almost. And now that I'm close to finishing the story, I wanted to self-publish printed versions of my comic. So I'm going to be creating 3 volumes, and I've already created the first 2. I'm currently working on the third one. And yeah, I did it all by myself. I figured it out all by myself. It was really hard. And I just don't want other people to struggle as much as I did, which is why I'm making this video, and hopefully it'll be really helpful for you. And basically today we're going to be learning how to create your comic project on Clip Studio Paint, and we're going to be talking about sizes for your comic for print. This is very important because if you don't get the sizes right for your project and then you later on upload it to Amazon's KDP, you won't be able to print anything because it just won't conform to the requirements. All right, so that's what we're going to be learning today. And then for part 2, which is going to be another video, we're going to be exporting our comic as a PDF from Clip Studio Paint and uploading it directly to Amazon's KDP in order to publish it, to do the almighty self-publishing. And now I'm going to take you to my computer, to my screen, and show you everything I am talking about. All right, so we're here in Clip Studio, and for this tutorial, I'm using Clip Studio X. I know for certain that everything I'm going to show you works with Clip Studio X, so in case you have Clip Studio Pro and you can't do the same things that we're about to do, then you probably need to upgrade. But hopefully not. Bear with me for a second, and then I'll hold you by the hand and we'll be doing this together. So don't get overwhelmed. This is gonna be okay. You just stick with me, grab some coffee, some snacks, and go through this video with me, and then maybe try it yourself. Right now on your screen, you should see a bunch of different sizes in a chart. And these are the options that you have for KDP. These are the sizes that you can print in using Amazon's KDP. So for example, for my comic, I wanted to go for a larger size comic. I'm going to show you a video right now of the size of my comic compared to a letter-sized page. And for mine, I went with the large trim size of 7.4 by 9.69 inches. And that's, for you to get an idea of the size that I went with. Of course, you can go smaller, you can go larger, but regardless of the size that you want to go with, these are the only available sizes that you have for print with KDP. Another cool thing that you will be able to notice in this chart is that you will get the option of printing your comic in either black and white ink with a cream colored paper, a standard color ink and white paper, which is what I went with for my first volume. And then you get the premium color ink and white paper, which is what I went with for the second volume of my comic. And I definitely recommend the premium color ink if you're going to go for color. I have no experience doing anything black and white, so that's up to you guys depending on what you're going to be printing. In this chart, you'll be able to get the trim sizes for the paperback version of your physical comic or whatever you're printing, and the hardcover trim size. And so depending on what you want to print, either if it's like a soft booklet like what I did or a hardcover book, that is completely up to you. I'm just showing you all of the options and the sizes that you can go with. Another thing that you might have to think about before we set the size of our comic project is whether or not you're going to want to have bleed or not. Bleed is a printing term that refers to when printed items on a page, such as, your drawings, your images, the background of your page, reach all the way to the edge of the page. So lastly, another thing that I want you guys to keep in mind, and I'm going to be showing you a chart for this as well, is your margin. So the minimum margin that KDP allows for pages between 24 and 150 is 0.375 inches, which is what I went with because my comic is less than 150 pages. But if your book is going to be larger, then I'll give you several more of the options that you have with KDP for how large your margins should be. Also, depending on whether you're going to have bleed or not, your outside margins will vary, so keep that in mind as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to apply all of this information from the charts to your project. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to click New, and this window is going to pop up. And usually when it pops up, you get this. It allows you to create a new illustration. So I'm treating this as though you've never opened this before. And so the option you want to click next is Show All Comic Settings. And you'll get a bunch of information here that will set you up for greatness. And if you do this the right way, then you should be good to go with whatever kind of project you create. I'm going to do this with the size that I went with for my comic, but you can adjust this to whatever size you're going to do for yours. So now it's time to put into practice all the information I just dumped on you, and you're probably really confused. But don't worry, we're going to get through this together. When you first open the comic settings option here, when you make a new file, you're going to get a bunch of information, and this is all the things that I was just talking about in regards to the sizes and the trim size and the bleed and the margins, all that stuff. The first thing you want to do is you want to change your unit here to inches because I showed you everything in inches and you might just want to go with that. The other thing you want to do here is change the file name of your comic. So for me, I'm going to go with demo comic because this is what I'm doing. And also for you guys to know, I'm going to be uploading this project that I'm working on right now that I'm creating as a template for you guys to do your own comic in this specific size. So if you want to be able to download this, you just have to become a free member from Patreon and you will be able to download this if you want. And then you want to save to a specific folder for your project. I'm going to go to my desktop, I'm going to go to comic demo, and that's the folder I'm going to select for my comic. Now, the first option you'll get is the canvas size. For whatever reason, Clip Studio Paint wants you to create a canvas size larger than your trim size, even though the trim size is the actual size your comic will be when it's printed. But I don't know why it does this, so I'm just gonna indulge Clip Studio. And what I did to solve this is I just added an extra inch to my canvas. And so for my comic, I had chosen the option to go for a trim size of 7.44 width by 9.69 height. So I just added 1 inch. So with my width for my canvas is 8.44, the height is 10.69. And then for the resolution, you'll probably get 600 resolution here. You don't actually need that. You can go with it and it'll look really crisp and nice, but it'll make the project really heavy. And if you don't have the best computer or if you don't want to run out of space, I recommend to go for 300. That's what I went with for my comic, and it honestly looks really good. I'm going to show you videos of how it looks, and I don't think you need to go for 600, but that's up to you. Another thing that you can change here is your basic color expression. You can change it to gray or monochrome, but I like color, so I went with color. And then you can also choose what the color of the paper will be. So if you guys want to select a different color other than white, go ahead. Now we get the trim size, and for the trim size, I wanted to go for what I went with for my own comic, so I put it 7.44 by 9.69. And now Remember I said that KDP forces you, regardless of the size of your project, to add 0.25 width to the bleed. That is only if you guys want to have your comic have bleed. If you don't, you can just input 0 and that'll be fine. And then finally, your inner border. Your inner border here is the option where you'll be able to set your margins. And like I showed you in the previous chart, because my comic is less than 150 pages, I set my margin to 0.375 inches. It rounds it up here for whatever reason to 0.38, but what I actually wrote was 0.375 inches. Sometimes when you open this window in the inner border option, you'll have this, which is set size, and we don't want that. We want to set a margin, so you can just click here and change it to set margin. You also have the option of adding a safety margin, but that usually is because in here you have set size instead of set margin. But for us, it would be overkill because we already set our margin here, so you don't have to click on this. You can just keep it disabled. And here you have another option for a setting for fan sign. I haven't clicked on this and I don't necessarily know what the purpose of this is, so I'm just not going to pretend like I do. I have no idea. I've never checked it, so I just leave it like this. Then you can select the number of pages that you want to create for your comic. I'm thinking if you're going to print, you're going to need at least 24 pages, so I'm just going to add 24 here. If you want to add more, there's a way to do it after you've created this project, and I'll show you how, so don't worry about it. You can select what kind of view you want. If you want it to be like page by page, or if you want it to be a webtoon type view. But for us, we're just going to keep it page by page. And then you can also select to combine into 2-page spreads if you guys wanted to create like an illustration that crosses, both pages. For this purpose, we're not going to do it right now. We're just going to keep it simple. And then you can select the binding point from left to right, and you can also select the starting page from left to right. I'm keeping it Western style, so the binding point is left binding and start page is starting from the right. Now, you can also select to create a cover page. But we don't need this because when you upload your comic to KDP, you upload the cover separately. So for the second part of this tutorial series, I'm going to show you how to set up your cover for KDP specifically for your front and back. And I'm going to be uploading a template as well for free on my Patreon for all free members. So we don't need this right now. So we're not going to check the box here. And then for story information, this is where you add, what the name of the story of your comic is. So for me, this is my demo comic. And then, if it's a number in a series, you can add this. If you want a subtitle, you can add this. I'm going to put part 1 tutorial. And then the author is me. So I'm just going to add Ariane. And this is just metadata, it's not something that you need to add, but I just like adding it because I think it's nice to know who made it and all that. And then you can select here if you want there to be a page number showing in your project. Once you've clicked on this, if you do want a page number to appear on your comic, then here you can select what kind of font you want to go with and the position, all that stuff. But I'm just not going to do it for this. If you guys want to do it, now you know where to do this. Sweet. Now, after all of this, and I hope that you're not dizzy from all this information, we're going to select OK. If you've never created a comic project on Clip Studio, this is how it looks, and I'll show you what happens once you click on each page. But these are essentially all the pages that, will go on your comic. And usually when you print on KDP, you do get the first page as a standalone page, and then you open it and you continue, and this is how it would look printed. So you want to keep in mind that these two will be together and this one will be separate, and then this one will be separate as well. In case you didn't know, now you do. When you click on the page here, number one, this is what will happen. Like it'll show you your entire project here and then your page on this side. And as you edit it, it'll update on your left. Now that we've gone through the pain of all of those numbers and charts that I showed you, I want to simplify what all that information means. Now that you're looking at the page here, I want you to know what each area of this page means. I am a very visual person, and so for me to be able to wrap my head around all the charts that I showed you and what everything that I was setting up meant, I had to draw myself kind of like a chart, a visual chart of what everything meant. So this is what all of these lines and borders and the bleed and the margins mean in your page. And I'm going to also add this to the template that I'm uploading so you guys can have it and you can remember. Everything that is in this red border is the canvas size. And this is a canvas that needs to be a little bit larger than the actual printed trim size will be. And for whatever reason, we have to make it bigger. So nothing really goes here. Nothing here is important. I just leave this white. You know, I don't really care about it at all. Then we have the bleed size, and this is what will definitely be trimmed if you want your comic to have bleed, if you want your art to bleed out of the page. Consider extending your art until this point, but remember that whatever is in the purple area will get trimmed and won't be seeing the light of day. Then we have the margins that we set, and this is where everything that's like not super important but you still want to show can go, like some maybe background elements that are spilling out of the page. And because of binding, because of the way things are printed and folded, sometimes things won't be seen as much in this area. So I recommend for you to keep this area kind of like not super busy, not have anything super important there, but still you can, you know, have art in this area, around this area. This won't be trimmed necessarily, but it just won't show as much, you know, as what you really want to show in your comic. And then the yellow box is where all the good stuff goes, or all the meat, where all the meat of your comic goes. This is where you want to keep your text inside. You don't want to have your text come outside of here ever, ever, ever. And yeah, this is where the main focus of your page is going to be. So this is where you want to keep everything that's important. Again, this will all be uploaded to Patreon. So you can just have it for you whenever you need. And yeah, that's what we just set up together. And now I want to go over a few things with our comic project, some questions you might get along the way, and maybe some solutions to certain things you might be thinking right now. So let me just close this and save it. And then it'll just automatically, you know, be updated here. Now let's say you have a comic page that you already drew in another program like Procreate or Photoshop or something you scanned, and you want to add it to this project. You could very well just open that image and copy and paste it. You know, that's easy, that's cool, you can do that. But another thing you could actually do is you could right click on wherever it is that you want to import your page to, and you can go to import page or pages, so you could import several if you wanted to. So as an example, I'm using this page from my own comic from Bring Me Love, and I'm going to select open, and it'll get automatically added to my comic. But you might get this box, and that's because your trim margin is not set to what your project is, and then the resolution maybe doesn't match. Something is different from your page than the rest of the project. So you're going to click OK on that. So what you want to do in this case, once you've added your page that doesn't match the rest of your project, you're going to right click on it and you're going to change page settings. And then this will pop up. you want to change the unit to inches because that's what we've been working on the whole time. And then you want to click on comic settings. And you want to change everything to match what our project is. So remember, my trim size was 7.44 by 9.69. My bleed width was 0.125. My margins, we need to set them here, were 0.375. I just copy this and I just paste it everywhere. And finally, we want to change the canvas size. Like I told you, we need to make it larger than the trim size. So if my trim size for the width is 7.44, I change it to 8.44. If my height is 9.69, I change that to 10.69. I change my resolution to 300. And then I can select the color of my paper if I want, or if your basic expression of color is different, you can also change that. I click this, it'll be white, awesome. And then we can click OK. And it'll let you know that you changed the resolution if you did. And it might scale it up or down, all that jazz. You click OK, and then we'll see if it works. And now you can see my page fits perfectly into the project, or almost. I'm noticing that, for example, maybe because I changed the resolution, the margins are a little bit off, so I can just select this, and if your page doesn't fit exactly like you wanted once you change all the settings, you can just resize things. So I'm just going to resize it a little bit. Nice. Now it fits a little bit better with my margins and everything like that. So one thing that you can do, which I do sometimes, is if I want to be able to visualize what will be trimmed and what will be important or not important in my page, like I'll just paste the template that I showed you previously, and I'll just lower the opacity, and then I can see by color that I was able to match everything that I thought was important, considering the printing and the trim size and the bleed and all that stuff. So that's great, because it means, everything is fitting perfectly, and now I don't have to worry about my pages. If you want to delete a page, what you can do is you can right click on here and delete a page. You can also replace a page. You can duplicate a page. You can do a bunch of stuff. You have a lot of options here. So play around with them and explore. Finally, say you imported a bunch of pages and now you want to change the settings for all of them, but you want to do it all in one go. You don't want to be doing it individually for each one of them. If you want to make sure that everything gets changed, you will select whatever page you imported, and then you'll click on Shift on your keyboard, and then you'll go all the way until the last page you imported. And now you can right click on whichever page is selected here and change page settings. And now all of the pages that you imported will be changed. All the settings from them will be changed. Whenever you create a comic project in Clip Studio Paint and you select the folder that you want to save it to, it will appear like this for whenever you want to open this project back again. So you click on the folder, and this is your entire comic project. This equates to what you're seeing in my Clip Studio right behind here. This is everything that you're making. And then you also have the option to open page by page from your project if that's something that you want to do. So if I wanted to simply open up page number 1, I would just select this and it would open like that, which this is my number 1 page in here. Now let's close this and say I want to open the whole project, and I would just click on Demo Comic and everything would open up in Clip Studio like this. Finally, I'm going to show you a bit of an Easter egg, something cool that you can do in Clip Studio Paint with your project like this. And then right now I'm showing you my own comic project for Bring Me Love. This is volume number 3, which I'm working on and almost completing very soon. And if you made it this far and you're watching this Easter egg, comment a little egg in the comments here on YouTube so that I know that you made it this far. So the thing I'm referring to is there is an option right below here, which is the 3D preview for binding option, that allows you to look at your comic as though it was already printed. So it's just a mock-up of your comic. And I love clicking on this because I I'm just a child and I just want to see what my comic will look like in physical form before I print it. And this is also very helpful for when you want to see what will be not as visible in the binding when you print it. And just look at this. Like, it's sometimes when I am really not motivated to make my comic, I just click on this 3D preview so that I can see it and imagine it as a printed thing. And it helps me so much. Like, it motivates me so much to, keep going. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know in the comments and let me know if you've read Bring Me Love. If you haven't, definitely check it out on Webtoons. Don't forget, I am leaving you guys with all of the templates and all of the information I shared today on Patreon for you guys to download completely for free if you become a free Patreon member. So yeah, definitely check out my Patreon and I'll see you back here for tutorial number 2. And for the second part of this tutorial series, we'll be exporting our project and uploading it to KDP step by step. Well, guys, that was it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, please consider subscribing, comment, sharing your very own comic that you want to print, or just any questions that you might have. I would love to help out if I can. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.